Yeah, there's 38,000 Protestant denominations today. Like what they started out as, like what they started out as is state religions. They were actually state religions, the Protestants. And what's crazy is Protestants named themselves Protestant and they were proud of it. You know, they were proud of that name that they made for themselves. And what happens is Protestants, they don't keep track of their own history. And a lot of Protestants today, they're like, we're not protesting anything. They don't even know their own history. They don't keep track of their history. They don't know about their own founders, like who founded their Protestant denomination. You know, and what's funny is they make names for themselves just like the people at the Tower of Babel did. That's what denominate means. And this is really funny. This is a real funny contradiction. Denominate, okay? Some denominations say we're non-denominational. Now, what's funny about that is that denominate means to make a name for yourself. So, in the very act of saying that we're non-denominational, it's like they're saying that like they're making a name for themselves. You know, it's so weird. They're making a name for themselves in the very act of saying that they're non-denominational. You know, because they're making a name for themselves. You know, they're saying that they're non-denominational. So it's like really weird. Like they're naming themselves. You know, and it's just so weird. It's like this really weird contradiction, you know, that they're doing. But yeah, it's so crazy that they don't keep track of their own history. If they would just go back to their own, you know, look up their own history, they would find out who founded it. And then when they find out who founded it, they would realize that it only, you know, started 100 or 200 years ago, and it doesn't date back to the time of Jesus or the biblical times. But all of them will say, "Oh, our denomination is from the first century," you know, and it's not. It dates back only a few hundred years, you know, 500 at most. Like Lutheranism or the Episcopalians, the Anglicans, the Church of England, that'll date back about 500 years because those were the first ones that like broke off from the church. Up in Northern Europe is where, you know, they had state religions, and there was like the Northern Protestants in Northern Europe that had their state religions. But like Jesus didn't come to start state religions. I mean, he established the Catholic Church like 2021 years ago. You know, it's like it's so simple. And then what they do is they read their church into the first century, into scripture. You know, they got it backwards. You know, because the church, think about it, the church in Acts, they didn't have a book of Acts. So it's a contradiction. They weren't Bible, it wasn't a Bible believing church that was in the book of Acts, because they wouldn't have had a book of Acts in the book of Acts to be a book of Acts Bible believing church. You know, like a New Testament book of Acts Bible believing church in the book of Acts. It's a contradiction. You know, it's like getting a ticket, you know, before the officer writes the ticket. You know, it's like first the officer has to pull you over for speeding, then they'll write you the ticket. You know, like you don't get the ticket, but I don't know. It's like completely backwards. But yeah, like that's what these socialists and stuff are doing. It's like it's a complete protest. Everything they do is the anti-Catholic agenda, and I don't think they even realize it. It's that they're so far disconnected from all the Protestant splits, you know, Freemasonry. They started like the French Revolution. They hate the Catholic Church so much they try to destroy it. So like what they did is they took over the government over in France during the French Revolution, and they attacked the Catholic Church from the outside. and then they still lost because it's of God. But what they're doing now, they're in their mind, they think that it's just a man-made organization, which is ridiculous because the Catholic Church is a living miracle. Every single day around the world, the same exact scriptures are read. Like I could go to Australia or over to Rome or out to California or to Florida or something or some other country, and the same scripture readings are going to be read. So like we're all in union with each other. That's a living miracle. You can't get people to agree on anything. Just look at the government. Everybody's like against each other in this fallen world. To me, the world being fallen is so blatantly obvious. What's crazy is some people, they can't see it because they're blind to spirits. They don't acknowledge it. When you don't acknowledge spirits exist, you give them free will over you. There's all these people that are walking around where the demons are freely controlling them because they don't recognize that the spirits even exist, so it gives them free reign over them. That's what's taking place. Some people they think that they're smart or something. These demons are putting all these thoughts in their head, and then they think that they're smart. These individuals, they think that they're intellectually superior, and it's just like these demons putting these ideas in their heads. And yeah, because the people, they're like atheists. They don't acknowledge the spirits control them. And then that's where we're at. The people have protested the church so much that they've become, the natural progression of it is atheism and socialism and communism. And the last thing they want you to do is to go and start looking up the saints. You could just go to YouTube and look up the lives of the saints and stuff, and you'll be like amazed, and you'll learn church teachings, like how these people lived and stuff. And yeah, it's great. Like just knowing the truth, it really does set you free. And yeah, I love being Catholic. Like I love being free from sexual lust. I love being free from lust. I don't do any of that. Yeah, years ago I was minorly, into that, because like I was wanting to get married and all that, so I'd look at girls and all that, and then that lust spirit ends up coming into you, like you start lusting after them, and you'll like yeah, I don't masturbate, I don't watch porn, I don't sleep around or anything like that. I don't dwell on sexual thoughts. And the key is to not dwell on any of that for, even for a few seconds. Because after, I'll give you like a number, like after about 10 seconds, that's when the evil spirit starts entering into you. That's when it starts entering into you. So like you don't want to be dwelling on lustful thoughts, more than just a few seconds, because then it'll enter you, and then the will of a demon is so much more powerful than your will. So like once they enter into you, then you're in trouble. You can't stop. But yeah, that's what socialism is about. It's just about like all this like evil stuff that's just completely anti-Catholic. That's why they push abortion and division, and they want to destroy the economy, so it destroys the family, because of the Trinity. The Trinity is a family, the Trinity is a marriage, the Trinity is a community. Procreation, a man, a wife, and a child is like the Trinity, and that's where communities come from. And procreation is life, and God is about life. So what these people are doing with these demons in them is they're for abortion, and they're against life. The socialism is about the destruction of the family. That's why they want women to go off to work, to divide the family up, so that, uh, they can destroy family, and then to further destroy family, they have LGBT stuff and sodomy and all that, you know. But yeah, that's like their whole entire agenda. But this video is getting a little bit long. I hope you learned something from this, and thanks for watching.